Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining our demo on our confirmation of payee solution, which forms part of our banking and financial services platform. Confirmation of payee, as you probably know, is a form of detection and verification system to combat fraud and erroneous payments in the UK market. It was proposed by Pay UK, which is UK's payment authority. The reason why it was introduced is, of course, because of the growing amount of fraud and erroneous payments due to open banking, but also the digital banking system as such. This already led to about more than £250 million of fraud in the last year. We provide this confirmation of payee service as part of our solution, as I mentioned, and a lot of organizations we support, banks and financial institutions, they use this solution and try to build it themselves. But if you get it wrong, that can have massive implications, both financial but also reputational risk, as you can understand. We have been running out this solution since the 90s with over 400 banks and financial institutions in Germany, Hungary, Austria, and in Italy. We know how this works and how it should work. We use over 20 years of programming and understanding the problematics of this implementation. Currently, we run around 5 million of controls on confirmation of payee per day. I would like to introduce you to Christoph Steinl, our global leader in process automation. Christoph.
Thank you, Hubert. So what I'm going to show you is our financial service and payment platform, and I'm logging into our banking services, same as usual. So I have to know everything. Ah, yeah, there it is. Nope. Not every time. So, this is the single sign-on into our banking platform with applications like our mobile banking, remittance processing, or loan origination. And what I'm going to show you today is the smallest part of it, but a very important one, confirmation of payee. And the task sounds simple. You just have to get a transaction, there's a name with it, and you just confirm that the name is the same as the one from the account holder. But the problem is, what if this name is not exact? Yeah. What if there's a certain difference in the name? Do you want to reject or have an angry customer? And not with Exela COP, but there's a little more thinking behind a comparison of a name than you might think in the first place. It's not just a simple string compare. And we try to minimize the risk of getting a false reject, yeah? So that we have a reject rate that is much, much lower than usual systems, because we have put a lot of natural language processing methods into the name detection to understand what the parts of the name are, what are the significant parts of the name are, and what are ignorable parts. And we have, for example, nickname databases. We have databases on newly for the British market to transfer Gaelic names into English names and things like that. And I want to demonstrate that. All these criteria that we have in the background are all configurable to the needs of the bank, and they can transfer the configuration to a point where they think they are secure, and at the same time as open as possible, and not to reject transactions. So this would be a perfect match. Stephen Hawking is exactly the same, but some friends call him Steve and transfer money to his account with Steve Hawking, and the system here, this is the server side, this is the client side, will tell us that he matched it with a name alternative, and therefore it was okay. Here we have James T. Kirk, the system knows him as Tiberius Kirk, which is okay. That was on his passport maybe. And we can also call him James Kirk. Yeah, the Tiberius doesn't have to be there. And I could also say, hey, well, I didn't know exactly how that man was called, so I'm changing it to Kirk with C, and even that works, but the system, of course, knows it had to have a partial match on this name. But it's still okay, because what we confirm with is all the account holders, the possible signatories to an account that match the account, and so that we can pay to a name or the company name, for example. Here we have Rule 14 is our own big data division, and here we have a match with the name 14, so numerals are no problem. Or here, this is actually, I don't want to pronounce the name because it's Gallic, and if I query this, oh, it's a Gallica Shannon, yeah? So we have the name part ignorers, and therefore we can make sure that with rules we can accept the name, although it's not very exact. Yeah, and one reject can cost 12 to 25 pounds, and that's actually can get very expensive for a bank if they have too many of those. Here, another example would be a double name. Alex Chamberlain actually is Oxlade Chamberlain, and he has some additional first names, and all of it matches the total number of characters that matches is enough to say the person whom he was transferring money to. Yeah. This was my presentation. Back to you, Bert.
Yes. I can understand if you would have some questions. We have, of course, a stand in the exhibition room, so feel free to join us and ask questions you would like. Thank you very much for your attention, and have a nice day.